Oh, there's so many yummy vegetarian options out there. You could try like lentil soup, veggie burgers, tofu stir fry. The possibilities are endless.
Why? Because no matter what you think, you are going to end up with an earful of cider.
Hello to all viewers of my channel. Now, that fantastic piece of advice isn't just about some back alley card trick. It's really about strategy. It's this great reminder that so much of our lives isn't a simple game of chance, it's a game against other people. And in those games, you've got to think one, two, maybe even 10 steps ahead.
And that's because life, whether we like it or not, is just a series of strategic games. I mean, think about it. From negotiating a salary to just figuring out who's going to do the dishes tonight. If you understand how the game is played, you have a serious advantage. So let's kick things off with a strategic puzzle that, well, it seems to defy all logic.
It sounds completely backward, doesn't it? Why on earth would you ever deliberately lose a competition you're trying to win? Well, this is the exact puzzle that played out on the very first season of the TV show Survivor.
So here's the situation. It's the final three, and Richard Hatch is doing the math. Scenario 1, if the popular Rudy wins the final challenge, he picks Richard to go to the end with him, and Rudy almost certainly wins the whole thing. Bad for Richard. Okay, scenario 2, if Kelly wins, she'll probably pick Richard, and he figures he has a much better shot at winning against her. Now here's the crazy part. Scenario 3, if Richard himself wins the challenge, he has to choose who to take, and he realizes the jury will probably vote against him no matter who he picks. So his only real path to that $1 million was for someone else to do the dirty work. He needed Kelly to win, get rid of the bigger threat Rudy, and then take him to the final vote. So what did he do? He deliberately lost. He just stepped down, ate a slice of orange, and watched his winning strategy play out perfectly. And that story right there brilliantly illustrates our first huge strategic tool, the power of thinking backwards. See, to figure out your best move today, you have to start by looking at the very end of the game.
The trick is you gotta start at the end. I mean, really, picture the final move of the game. If you can confidently predict what your opponent is going to do in that last moment, you can trace all the steps back to right now and figure out exactly what you should be doing.
We all know this one, right? Every single time, good old Charlie Brown trusts Lucy to hold the football. And every single time, she yanks it away and he lands flat on his back. See, poor Charlie Brown is stuck in the present, just hoping for a different outcome. But a strategist knows the outcome is already locked in. It all breaks down into this really simple but powerful process. First, look forward and see all the possibilities. Then, you reason backward from the very end, knowing your opponent is going to make the move that's best for them. In this case, Lucy is always going to pull the ball. And finally, you use that certainty about the future to make your best choice today. For Charlie Brown, that means just walk away. He can't change Lucy, but he can absolutely change his own move.
Okay, but here's the thing. What good is a strategy if your opponent doesn't believe for a second that you'll follow through? And that brings us to our next crucial piece of the puzzle, credibility.
You know, anyone can make a threat or a promise. The real question is, will you actually do it? An empty threat, well, that's just talk. But a credible threat is one where you've basically locked yourself in. You've changed the game so that backing down actually hurts you more than following through does. Think about a New Year's resolution. It's basically a promise you make to your future self, right? But then, when you're faced with a piece of cake, that promise can feel, well, pretty empty. So how do you make it credible? You use something called a commitment device. It's a tool that basically forces you to stick to your plan. And here's a wild example. In one TV experiment, participants who wanted to lose weight agreed to a pretty powerful commitment. If they didn't lose 15 pounds in 2 months, the producers would air super embarrassing bikini photos of them on national television. Ouch. By using that fear of public shame, they turned an empty promise into a credible, binding commitment. And guess what? It worked. Almost everyone hit their goal. Okay, so you can make your own strategy credible. But what about when you're on the other side of the table? What happens when you can't really trust what other people are saying because they have information you don't? How do you read their true intentions?
This is the classic market for lemons problem. So imagine a used car seller. He knows if his car is a high-quality peach or a low-quality lemon. But you, the buyer, you have no idea. So what do? You offer a price somewhere in the middle. The problem is anyone with a great car, a peach, is going to refuse that low offer. Only the owners of the junk cars, the lemons, will happily take your money. And eventually, buyers figure this out, and the market for good used cars just completely collapses.
So the way you solve this is through something called signaling. A signal is an action that's costly or difficult to fake, so it credibly reveals that private information. A great example is a college degree. An employer might not really care if you can recite Shakespeare, right? But the fact that you managed to complete a difficult 4-year degree, that signals you have the discipline and the intelligence to learn and succeed. You're signaling that you're a peach, not a lemon. So let's take these concepts, thinking backwards, credibility, signaling, and apply them to one of the most high-stakes, terrifying conflicts in modern history. This is the art of brinkmanship, and it is scary stuff. It's not about making a direct threat that you might have to carry out. No, it's about creating a situation where there's a real chance that things could spiral out of control for everybody. It's about convincing your opponent that you're just a little bit crazier, a little more willing to let things completely fall apart than they are. And this was the terrifying reality of the Cuban Missile Crisis. Kennedy wasn't just threatening war. He was drawing a clear line in the sand that, if crossed, would trigger an automatic, catastrophic response. Both the US and the Soviet Union were pushed to the absolute edge, staring into this abyss of mutual destruction. It was the ultimate game of strategic chicken. So, from reality TV to global superpowers, you can see these principles of strategy are absolutely universal. The final question, then, is how can we apply them in our own lives? The hockey legend Wayne Gretzky had this quote that just perfectly captures the essence of strategic thinking. It's not about reacting to what's happening right in front of you. It's about anticipating the flow of the game, looking ahead, and positioning yourself for where things will be. So whether you're planning a career change or getting ready for a tough conversation or even just planning your next board game night, just take a moment. Look forward to the end, reason backward to today, and think about the signals you're sending out. You gotta ask yourself, what game am I really playing? And what is my next strategic move?
Hey, if you enjoyed this, please subscribe to the channel and give it a like. And also, let me know what topics you'd like to see in future videos down in the comments. Thanks for watching, and think ahead.